Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister Dr. Faisal Miqdad underlined the importance of putting an end to violence and terrorism and reaching a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria according to Geneva Statement. During his meeting with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow, Miqdad underlined the deep Syrian-Russian relations and reviewed with Lavrov the situation in Syria in all its aspects. Miqdad stressed the importance of stopping foreign meddling in the Syrian affairs and that some countries in the region and abroad refrain from training and funding the terrorist groups. For his part, Lavrov reiterated Russia's support to a peaceful solution in Syria and renewed Russia's known position on Geneva Statement. The Russian Foreign Ministry official spokesman Alexander Lukashevich has said there is no Russian-US plan to settle the situation in Syria, pointing out that Russia depends only on the Geneva Statement. Lukashevich affirmed that Moscow believes there is no other alternative to the Geneva Statement, which should be considered as a basis for finding a solution to the situation in Syria. On the other hand, Lukashevich said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will conduct talks with al-Ibrahimi next Saturday to discuss questions related to a political settlement in Syria. The UN envoy to Syria, al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi, has said the crisis in Syria should be solved by the Syrians but with a big assistance from the world. He said he didn't come to the region any Russian-American project on the crisis in Syria. He affirmed that violence should stop and therefore strong observation by a peacekeeping force is needed. Al-Ibrahimi said that the UN Secretary General has taken advantage of every opportunity in order to call for the halt of the influx of weapons into Syria, one of the issues that should be agreed upon. Al-Ibrahimi voiced conviction that the situation in Syria represents a big danger not only for the Syrian people but also for neighboring countries and the world. An official source at the regional leadership of Ba'ath Arab Socialist Party confirmed that news reported by some media on holding a meeting for the regional leadership of the party to discuss the crisis in Syria and taking a decision regarding the initiative of the UN envoy to Syria, Lakhdar al-Ibrahimi, is false. The source added that the regional leadership did not discuss that issue and did not issue any statement with this respect, pointing out that Al-Ba'ath.net website that fabricated the news is administrated from Yemen and is not related to the party leadership in Syria. The source said that the news is part of the media campaign that targets Syria and its people and institutions. 4 citizens were killed and 10 others injured in an explosion of a booby-trapped car in El-Spene and Nahar Street in Damascus countryside. Most of the martyrs and injured are students. On the other hand, a unit from the Syrian Arab Army killed a number of terrorists and injured others in 2 operations carried out at Hajjera in Damascus countryside, where 11 terrorists were killed and injured and a mortar launcher was destroyed. At Al-Husseiniya town, another army unit carried out an operation in which it killed 5 terrorists and injured 8 others. Syrian Arab Army have eliminated dozens of terrorists and destroyed their machine gun-equipped cars in a series of operations in Idlib suburbs. An army unit has repelled a terrorist group at a barricade in Ash-Shughur village in Jisr al-Shughur, killing and wounding all the members of the group. Another unit eliminated a large number of terrorists in Bsankul village and destroyed a missiles launcher. 4 cars loaded with arms, ammunition and terrorists, as well as 2 pickup vehicles were destroyed near Saraqib in Idlib suburbs. A 3rd army unit also killed a number of terrorists and destroyed their cars in Binnesh. In Al-Raqqa and in cooperation with citizens, competent authorities intercepted a dump truck loaded with about 3 tons of explosives near That al-Sawari school in Raqqa. The engineering units managed to dismantle the deadly devices. In Hama countryside, an army unit clashed with an armed terrorist group in the village of Syrian, killing and wounding dozens of them. Specialized authorities also confronted an armed terrorist group which tried to attack an army checkpoint in Abu Ubaida village in Mharde and Jinan village, killing and wounding a number of them. A unit from the Syrian Arab Army carried out an operation that targeted a terrorist hideout at the fourth part of the oil pipeline to the east of Taifour in Homs countryside. The army inflicted heavy losses upon the terrorists and arrested many of them, in addition to seizing arms and ammunition, including automatic machine guns and 25 explosive devices. Prime Minister Dr. Wael al-Halaqi pointed out during his meeting with members of the People's Assembly representing Damascus that the bread, flour and gasoline crisis started to end due to the practical measures taken by the government, adding that the government will continue to exert its efforts to rehabilitate the infrastructure that was destroyed by the armed terrorist groups. Dr. al-Halaqi also met with a delegation from Arab Socialist Movement. He affirmed that Syria will deflate the hopes of conspirations and get out victorious from the crisis thanks to the unity among people. On the other hand, Prime Minister stressed during his meeting with Mohammed Youssef al-Hussein, new head of the State Council, the importance of developing the Council's performance through restricting it and recruiting young and honest youth in order to achieve democratic administration. Participants in the meeting of the High Committee for Relief discussed what has been implemented in the field of humanitarian aid last week concerning the affected families at the temporary residential centers and elsewhere. Minister of Social Affairs and Labour, Chairman of the High Committee for Relief, Jassim Mohammed Zakaria, stressed that 120 million Syrian pounds will be distributed to 140 NGOs by the end of the current year to help them fulfill the basic needs of the affected families at the temporary residential centers and elsewhere.